Try to remember last Tuesday. Not a big Tuesday. Not a Tuesday where something happened. Just a regular Tuesday 3 weeks ago. What did you eat? Who did you talk to? What were you thinking about at 3 p.m.? For most people, that Tuesday is gone. Not fuzzy, not vague. Gone. A day of your life that you were fully conscious for, that you moved through, made decisions in, felt things during, and you have essentially no record of it. Now pull back further. Try to remember a random week from 2 years ago, a random month from 5 years ago, the texture of a Tuesday from a decade back. You can't. Almost none of it is there. The average human life is somewhere around 4,000 weeks, and most of those weeks, if you're being honest, are not retrievable. They happened. You were there. And they are gone in a way that is almost total. Most people assume this is normal aging. A storage problem, the brain filling up and quietly deleting old files to make room. That's not what's happening. The real reason you can't remember most of your life has nothing to do with how much your brain can hold. It has to do with what your brain decided was worth keeping in the first place. Here is the thing about human memory that most people never learn. Forgetting is not a failure of the system. It is the system working correctly. Neuroscientists have identified what they call forgetting cells, actual dedicated neural mechanisms whose entire function is to actively degrade memory traces, not passively, actively. The brain doesn't just fail to hold on to certain experiences, it deliberately erases them. The reason is efficiency. You are bombarded with somewhere between 11 million and 40 million bits of sensory information every single second. Your conscious mind processes maybe 50 of those bits. The rest get filtered out before you're even aware of them. And of what does make it into conscious experience, the vast majority is flagged by your brain as low priority and scheduled for deletion. As one neuroscientist put it, forgetting may be the basal state of the brain. The default is erasure. Memory is the exception, not the rule. So the question is never why you forget things. The question is what the brain uses to decide what survives. And the answer to that question is what makes the situation so uncomfortable. Memory is not a recording. It is a curation, and your brain curates based on one primary criterion. How different was this from what came before it? Novelty, emotional charge, surprise. The things that get encoded as long-term memories are the things that deviate from the predicted pattern. The things that are just like yesterday get flagged as redundant and quietly removed, which means if your life is mostly predictable, mostly routine, mostly the same sequence of environments and interactions and stimuli repeated on a weekly cycle, most of it is being erased before you even have a chance to miss it. There is a phenomenon in neuroscience called event segmentation. The brain does not experience life as a continuous stream. It breaks experience into discrete chapters, separated by what researchers call event boundaries, moments where something meaningfully changes. A new environment, an unexpected interaction, a goal that shifts. Each boundary creates a new chapter in memory. And it's the chapters that you remember, not the stream. This is why you can vividly recall the first week of a new job, but have almost no memory of week 37. Week 1 was dense with event boundaries. Every hallway was unfamiliar. Every face was new. Every task required actual attention. The brain was producing chapters as fast as it could process them. By week 37, the environment was completely predicted. The brain had a model of it. And anything the brain can model accurately doesn't need to be stored again. It gets compressed into a single entry, same as before. The result is that years of your life can collapse into a single thin memory because the brain saw no reason to file them separately. They were, from a neurological standpoint, the same day repeated. This is also why time feels like it accelerates as you get older. It isn't that time moves faster, it's that your memory becomes less dense. Fewer chapters, fewer landmarks. And when you look back on a year that produced only a handful of genuinely distinct memories, that year feels shorter in retrospect than the childhood summer that produced hundreds. Your life is not disappearing. It's being filed as repetition. And you won't feel that happening in real time. You'll feel it at 45 when you try to account for the last decade and realize you can't. The brain's memory system evolved in a world where a genuinely identical day was nearly impossible. Weather changed, food sources moved, social dynamics shifted. The environment itself was constantly generating new input for the brain to file. The modern world solved most of that variation. Climate control, reliable food supply, predictable schedules, stable commutes, the same desk, the same screens, the same sequence of apps opened in the same order on the same device, in the same room, every morning. We have built lives of extraordinary comfort and extraordinary sameness. And the brain, which still runs on the same memory architecture as it did 40,000 years ago, responds to that sameness the same way it always has. It stops filing. Then there is the attention problem. Memory is not formed from experience alone. It is formed from attended experience. You cannot encode something you were not genuinely present for. Multitasking, notification cycles, background media, the habit of pulling out a phone, the moment attention is not otherwise occupied. All of it fragments the sustained attention required for memory consolidation. You can have a conversation with someone you love and process almost none of it because part of your attention was elsewhere the whole time. That conversation will leave almost no trace. There is also a subtler effect that rarely gets mentioned. When you photograph an experience instead of attending to it, research consistently shows that your memory of that experience is weaker than if you had not photographed it at all. The act of outsourcing the memory to the camera tells the brain it doesn't need to encode it. The brain complies. So here is where we actually are. The brain is already biased toward deletion. Routine already removes most of the input that would create distinct memories. And then on top of that, modern life has added fragmented attention, digital outsourcing, and an environment of nearly total sensory predictability. The result is that people in their 30s and 40s are losing decades of lived experience, not because their memory is failing, but because the conditions required to form memories in the first place are almost never present. So, where does that leave you? The research does not offer a clean answer. There is no supplement that fixes this, no app that reverses it. The conditions that create lasting memory, genuine novelty, sustained attention, emotional presence, are not things you can install. What neuroscience does say is that the density of your memory is roughly proportional to the density of your experience. More distinct inputs, more distinct chapters. Fewer distinct inputs, fewer chapters. The calendar keeps moving either way. The uncomfortable part is that this is mostly invisible while it's happening. You won't notice the Tuesday going unrecorded. You won't feel the week compressing. You'll just get to the end of another year and feel, vaguely, that it went somewhere without you. That feeling is accurate. Neurologically, it did. You were there for all 4,000 weeks. Most of them just didn't make the cut.